Hi everyone, welcome to another part of Mastering Burp Suite series. Myself Joseph, I work as an associate security consultant at Red Fox Security. So today I will be guiding you guys through how we can make use of collaborators, sequence, comparer, and decoder in Burp Suite. These types of tools makes our pen testing or the assessments really easier, web application assessment really easier. So how do we go about that is what I will be going through in this particular video. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. So yeah, understanding just to build you your understanding about the Burp Suite Collaborator, I will be just giving you guys a brief overview of what Collaborator is. Collaborator is a service integrated into the Burp Suite that allows out of band testing. That is, it can detect interactions initiated between the target application, that is the application which we are testing, while we inject payloads. Like if it is making any query to a particular domain or a particular endpoint that we are going to be providing it. So we will be looking into how we can craft that particular payload. We can do this in XSS and SSRF vulnerabilities. We'll be going through the practical demonstration of that as well in this video today. So yeah, so what it does is it captures the payloads that the target application may send out, which helps in identifying the vulnerabilities that cannot be detected through normal regular methods. So you might be asking, so how do we set up this particular collaborator, or how do we use that? So you just have to navigate to the collaborator tab, so click on get started. Over here you can see over here there is no type of request or something request being loaded over here. You can just click over the copy clipboard. So what it does is you do have a domain copied to your particular to the place where we have to inject this particular payload. So what I'll be doing is you might be wondering, so what are how do we test for these vulnerabilities, or how can we use collaborator in while testing for the application? So the steps are you can choose a particular vulnerable endpoint that might be vulnerable to XSS or SSRF. So what you can show is in your proof of concept, you can show that it is querying to this particular endpoint by using this particular by using collaborator. So how we can do that is inside the collaborator payload which we just copied by clicking on the I will show you once again. So over here, copy to clipboard. So what it does is it takes a particular domain or a particular endpoint. We can copy it from over here. This is the collaborator payload. Okay, so we have to copy it from there and just paste it in our payload that we are going to be creating for SSRF or XSS. So if it is making any DNS request or HTTP request from our target application to the collaborator, then we do know there is a vulnerability that is existing. So first we will test for the XSS and then we will go for the SSRF vulnerability. So first let's log in into this application. So we have successfully logged in. We will be going to, I think it's in About Us, not in About Us. So in the shop, yeah. So what we'll be doing is we will be viewing the details. So over here, as you can see, we do have a application in which we do have the functionality to upload a particular review. So what we'll be doing over here is, as we can see, there is some sort of image that is being broken. That means there might be some sort of this is the payload which I previously executed. So what I'll be doing is I will be putting just a normal XSS payload and mentioning its source as the collaborator payload which we copied initially. We'll be submitting this review. Yeah, so in the at this point you can see that our payload is being reflected over here. but we can confirm this by saying over here there is no sort of request being loaded. So when we click on poll now, what it does is if there is any query made to the collaborator, it just lists it down. So we do have a DNS query as well as an HTTP query for this particular that has been queried from our application to us. So over here we can definitely say that there is XSS vulnerability, as this particular application is trying to load this resource from this particular endpoint, from the endpoint given by the collaborator. So what we can do is, this is a stored XSS, right? So what it will do is when we load the page again, it will just query it again just to confirm if it is working again, just to show you guys, not yeah. So over here when we reloaded the page, it sent an HTTP request to our collaborator. So yeah, so XSS part is done. So we will be demonstrating this how to execute it in SSRF as well. So for that we will be navigating to I think it's home page. Yeah, over in the home page we will be in the stock check functionality there is an SSRF vulnerability. So what I will be doing is intercepting this particular request and sending this to repeater. Yeah, so in the repeater tab you can see that it is querying an internal IP. So what I'll be doing is I will be sending this particular payload, setting this particular payload and sending the request. To see over here you can see that the like at the endpoint of this particular domain, this sort of is usually being like this is the response when we visit this particular page. So this particular application is trying to query this and trying to retrieve information from this particular endpoint. So if you do want to we can go to the collaborator and look for any sort of queries that were being made during this. Yeah, we can see that there were 2 DNS queries which has been sent to our collaborator. So like by analyzing this, we can we are seeing a list of interactions captured between the particular target application and our own collaborator. So each entry provides a detail about the type of interaction, like it is saying that it has queried DNS calls and HTTP calls being made. So based on the findings, so we can particularly craft our next steps, like we can report it or we can further exploit this vulnerability. Whenever a DNS call request are being made, so it usually indicates that or confirms that there is a vulnerability of SSRF vulnerability. Whenever there are network calls to an external address from our application on the vulnerable application. So so we do know that now this particular application is vulnerable and to SSRF and XSS. So we do know how to test for this type of vulnerability using Collaborator. Collaborator is a feature, mostly it is in the pro version of the Burp Suite. You might not find this in the community edition version. Yeah, so that's it for the collaborator. We will be talking about what the sequencer does. So typically whenever we try to log in to a particular login page, so what the server side code, what it does is it provides us with a token or some sort of cookie to for each and every request. It acts as an authentication mechanism once we provide our valid credentials. So what the sequencer does is it will send thousands of queries using right credentials, and what it does is it will look for the token which is being generated, and it will try to analyze that particular token. Is that particularly brute forceable, or is it strong token, or is that only is the same token being reused again whenever we try to log in. So what happens over here is whenever a session cookie or whenever some sort of token is being generated, if it is generating the same token each and every time, then it is a vulnerability, because if we get hold of that particular token, we might be able to authenticate as that particular user at any point of time. So we will be demonstrating of how we will be doing this. So first we will be needing the login. So this is just a search function in the Burp Suite. I will be sending this particular login request to the So over here you can see that this is a login request, these are the valid credentials it provides, and these are the session tokens that is being created when it is trying to log in to this particular application. So what we'll be doing is we will be sending this to the sequencer, and what we will be doing over here is we will be selecting at what part the token is being received in the response. So we will be just marking that, and we will be selecting OK and just start a live capture. During the live capture, what I'll be doing is we will be sending this particular about 300 or 400 requests, and it will be generating token each and every time when we are trying to log in. We will look for what are the vulnerabilities. This is a vulnerable web application, so we have intentionally made so that each and every time whenever user tries to log in, it sends us a same token or same cookie. So let's just start, and then we will be figuring out how to analyze this and all. So it's about 400 requests. We will just pause it and then click on analyze now. So over here, as the result says, the overall quality of the randomness within the sample is estimated to be extremely poor. That indicates that as I said, it is an intentionally vulnerable web application in which it sends the same token once you are authenticated. So if you did not understand this, what I will be doing is I will be showing you this in the repeater itself. So over here, this is the session code, right? So what I'll be doing is copying and pasting it over here. So this is the first request. I have already sent this request, and I do have this session code. When I hit the request again, it again shows the same token which is being reflected. So this means I can do this one more time. So it generates the same token again and again, and if it is a compromised token, I might be able to authenticate as other users as well if I do have tokens of other users. So it becomes really easy to do an account takeover attack by doing this by if this particular vulnerability exists. So sequencer is typically used for looking for if the particular token is being is brute forceable, or is it strong token, that is the length of the token is really long. So is it according to the industry standard, or is it that for each and every user only the last particular 2 bits are being changed. So that is the type of analysis it does. So that's it for the sequencer. We will move on to the decoder part. So what decoder does is basically if we provide a particular set of strings or a particular set of characters, what it does is we can encode and decode it by using, for example, encode and decode it. That's its functionality. It's really simple. So if you do want to base 64 encode it, so sorry, I decoded it. So if you do want to encode it as base64, you can just click on base64 and you can decode it again as base64. You can encode it by using URL encoding, HTML encoding, and all the other types of encoding that it provides. So that's the simple functionality of a decoder. If you do want to talk about the what comparer does is you can compare 2 requests or 2 responses. Like for example, whenever this is just an example. So when we provide a valid credential, so what are the responses we get? What are the responses we get when we provide an invalid credential? So if we want to compare these particular 2 responses, so what we do is we particularly put them in comparer, and we look for the differences between them. It usually highlights what are the modifications that were being made for both the request and for both the responses. So what we will do is we will put this particular login request, not the request, the response, whenever this is the valid login credentials. So I will be putting them in comparer. So the first set of for the valid credential, I have provided the a response. So what I'll be doing is I'll be generating one for invalid credentials. You can see it over here as well. Login field, password not matched. So I will be sending this to the comparer as well. Yeah, so now you can see there are two particular responses being in the comparer. What we can do is we can match them by words or by bytes. Right now I'll be matching them with words. So they will be looking for the type of modification made in the words for both the responses. So yeah, so over here, as mentioned, the for the modified request, for the modified part, it is highlighted by the brown or the orange color. For the part blue, blue will be highlighted if there are something that is being deleted in the second response, the first response. So it will be denoted by the blue color, and if there is something added to this particular responses, then it will be added as in yellow. It will be marked as yellow. In the both the response, we can see the parts in which there are changes. The first part is the time at which they have been executed, which I had queried and I received a response, that is the time. So that is not the thing that we look for. Content length is the length of the response that we have received. That is also not something we typically look for when we are looking for the comparison between both the responses. So over here you can see that in the valid login request, you can see that the success parameter is set to true, whereas it is set in false. So this is the type of differences that you might get in the end of the second request as well. In the message parameter, we do have a message parameter that is filled in. Over here I don't think there is any, yeah, there is no message parameter in the first request response, sorry. So yeah, that's the difference between, that's how we can compare the difference between the two particular responses that we do need to identify. Sometimes the response might not be this simple, it might be really complex, it might be too long. So in that particular scenario, we might be able to use this particular tool or utilize this tool to differentiate what are the differences between the responses received for the two different requests. So that's it, guys, for today's video. Now we do understand how to utilize Collaborator in functionality standpoint when we do testing for XSS, SSRF. We do understand how to do the encoding and decoding using Decoder. We also know how to compare the request and responses using comparer, and we also know how to use sequencer to look for valid tokens. To look for vulnerabilities in the tokens generated. So yeah, guys, so I think that's it for that video. In summary, what these tools, this actually helps us to make it makes our task really easy for us by using this particular tools. I think Burp Suite is a really good tool. It has a lot of functionalities. I think you should just go do a lot of hands-on over that, and then you will get to know it a bit in a better way. So what I will suggest is just dabble into it, just look for the functionalities, just test it out, look for vulnerabilities in the web application, and start using Burp Suite. Yeah, guys, thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment below so that I would like to really hear them. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, until next time, guys, see you.